Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Swampy Mingle, South Florida, and today's date is Wednesday, January 27th, 2021. Well, so the thing keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. Unbelievable. Yeah, I just found out recently, Marsha Zazula passed. I didn't know it till yesterday, so I looked into it. I'm like, wow. I know she passed. It looks like she passed on the 9th or the 10th. I'm not so sure. I think on the 9th. Yeah, Marsha Zazula was, you could say, co-operator of Megaforce Records back in the New Jersey, New York Bay area. And what I read, it was like an interview, like she did pass and die from cancer. So I go send my condolences to Johnny Z and the rest of the Zazula clan and all the neighbors, comrades, allies, etc. Because I have to say, during that time of the 80s, 1980s, heavy metal music started to accelerate. And Zazulas, Marsha and John Zazula, were one of the innovators of that, including Brian Slagle from Metal Blade, got from Combat Records, all that. Things just started to, boom, just blasted. Because during that time, all the mainstream high corporate music labels didn't want to take that chance. So he took he's one of the individuals, including John Z, took the initiative on pushing it. So always, like I said, it's just thank you for making the music what it is. Your contributions, your support. I'm believing on these bands, including Metallica, and especially Metallica and a bunch of bands. Like I could name so many: Merciful Fate, Exciter, TT Quick, Raven, Testament. Yeah, Megaforce Records made that happen for those bands, and Anthrax as well. Okay, so always remember your roots, folks. And they're just one of the groups that, boom, from the east side, of course, Brian Slagle from Metal Blade on the west side, and everything else falls in between. So, so I gotta say, always pay homage to these people. All right, so I'm talking a few things. Actually, a friend of mine sent this to me in reference to Reuters, and it was exclusive from their own newspaper. And the thing froze on me, so I don't know why it's taking so long. I'll just do a little rant here. Oh, hold on here. It got updated around 6:47 p.m. And it says here, exclusive Proud Boys leader was prolific informer for law enforcement. So Enrique Torrio, the leader of the Proud Boys extremist group, has a past of an informer for federal and local enforcement, repeatedly working undercover investigators after he was arrested in 2012, according to former prosecutor, a transcript of a 2014 federal court proceeding obtained by Reuters. In the Miami hearing, federal prosecutor, a Federal Bureau of Investigations agent, and Torrio's own lawyer described his undercover work, said that he had helped authorities to prosecute more than a dozen people in various cases, including involving drugs, gambling, and human smuggling. Torrio, in an interview with Reuters Tuesday, denied working undercover or cooperating in cases against others. I don't know any of this, he said. When asked about the transcript, I don't recall any of this. Law enforcement officials in the court transcript contradict Torrio's denial. In a statement to Reuters, the former federal prosecutor in Torrio's case, Vanessa Johannes, confirmed that he cooperated with local and federal law enforcement to aid in the prosecution of those running other separate criminal enterprises, ranging from running marijuana grow houses in Miami to operating pharmaceutical fraud schemes. Interesting there, right? So something to look at here. Terrell, 36, is a high-profile figure who organizes and leads the right-wing Proud Boys in their confrontations with those they believe to be Antifa, short for anti-fascism, in an amorphous and often violent leftist movement. The Proud Boys were involved in a deadly insurrection at the Capitol January 6th. I'd just like to make this straight one more time. The insurrection was an inside job. Stop being dramatic. Good grief. Who wrote this? Aram Roston. I'm not going to take credit where it's due, but sometimes this rhetoric I have to be slightly critical about. The records uncovered by Reuters are startling because they show a leader of far-right group now under intense scrutiny by law enforcement was previously an active collaborator with criminal investigators. Washington arrested Terrell in early January of 19 when he arrived in the city 2 days before the Capitol Hill riot. He was charged with possession of 2 high-capacity rifle magazines, so who would the victim be present, and burning a Black Lives Matter banner during the December demonstration by supporters of former President Trump. The D.C. Superior Court ordered him to leave the city pending a court date in June. Though Terrell did not take any part of the Capitol insurrection, at least 5 Proud Boy members have been charged in the riot. The FBI previously said Terrell's early arrest was an effort to preempt the events of January 6th. Transcript from 2014 shines a new light on Terrell's past connections to law enforcement. During the hearing, the prosecutor Terrell's defense attorney asked a judge to reduce the prison sentence of Terrell and the 2 co-defendants. They pleaded guilty in a fraud case related to relabeling and sale of stolen diabetes test kit. The prosecutor said Terrell's information had led to the prosecution of 13 people on federal charges in 2 separate cases and helped local authorities to investigate a gambling ring. Terrell's then lawyer, Jeffrey Fahler, said in court that his client had worked undercover in numerous investigations, one involving the style of anabolic steroids, another regarding wholesale prescription narcotics, and a third targeting human smuggling, he said. Terrell helped police uncover 3 marijuana grow houses and was a prolific cooperator. In the smuggling case, Terrell, at his own risk, in an undercover role, met and negotiated to pay $11,000 to members of that ring to bring in fictitious family members of his from another country, the lawyer said in court. In an interview, Fahler said he did not recall the details about the case, but added the information I provided to the court was based on information provided to me by law enforcement and the prosecutor. FBI agent at the hearing called Terrell a key component of local police investigations involving marijuana, cocaine, and MDMA or ecstasy. The Miami FBI office declined comment. There is no evidence Terrell has cooperated with authorities since then in interviews with Reuters. However, he said that before rallies in various cities, he would let police departments know of the Proud Boys' plans. It is unclear if this was actually the case. He said he stopped this coordination after December 12th because the D.C. police had cracked down on the group. Terrell on Tuesday acknowledged that his fraud sentence was reduced from 30 months to 16 months, but insisted that leniency was provided only because he and his co-defendants helped investigators clear up questions about his own case. He said never helped investigate others. Comment contrasts with statements made in court by the prosecutor, his lawyer, and the FBI, the judge in the case, Joan A. Leonard, that Terrell provided substantial assistance in the investigation and prosecution of other persons involved in criminal conduct. As Trump supporters challenged elections lost in often violent demonstrations, Terrell stood out for his swagger as he led crowds for mostly white Proud Boys in a series of confrontations and street brawls in Washington, D.C., Portland, and elsewhere. The Proud Boys, founded in 2016, began as a group protesting political correctness and perceived constraints on masculinity. It grew into a group with distinctive colors of yellow and black that embraced street fighting. Actually, it says caution. Yellow and black attack, right? And a warning. In September, their profile soared when Trump called them to stand back and stand by. Terrell, based in Miami, became a national chairman of the group in 2018. In November, December, Terrell, who led Proud Boys to the streets of D.C. after Trump's loss. Videos show him on December 11th with a bullhorn in front of a large crowd to the parasites both in Congress, and in that stolen White House. He said, "You want war? You got one." The crowd roared. The next day, Terrell burned the BLM banner. Former prosecutor Johannes said she was surprised that the defendant she prosecuted for fraud is now a key player in the violent movement that sought to halt the certification of President Joe Biden. "I knew that he was a fraudster, but had no reason to know that he was also a domestic terrorist," she said. Well, I'll be honest with you, Miss Johannes. The people in our own government, almost in our own government, are considered domestic terrorists. Even FBI with J. Edgar Hoover was one as well. So, with all due respect, you better back up all your facts before jumping the gun. Now, I'm not saying I'm a Proud Boys supporter or follower or anything like that. However, I network a lot. You know, I mingle with people who are, and yeah, I have my differences with like everybody else. Just network, common interests, and so forth. However, what really dawns on me when I was like watching some of the videos, they say like the Proud Boys are okay except for white supremacy, which is the biggest sham because Terrell is Afro-Cuban descent. So, what the hell does that mean? But you know how the newspapers are at times and reporters went through all this nonsense. There's a lot of issues have been going on, and the truth of the matter is, what happened in D.C., for example, like I said, the people, the career politicians, done this to themselves too. I know I may repeat myself, but sorry, that's a fact, and I'm not going to back that. I'm not going to recant it by any means. And he pleaded guilty on the BLM banner because he got that from a church, so someone else used it. So, and that's right there. At least he took responsibility for his actions, which you don't take people's property and burn it. Okay. So it's going to be pretty interesting indeed. So we'll see how much controversy is with this organization right now. So I find this very intriguing indeed. So someone sent this to me, I thank them. And we'll see how far this baby goes. A lot of stuff is happening right now, and I prefer everyone in there when it comes to HR 360, the reference to domestic terrorism. I encourage everyone in Congress that you let your representative know you're against it because it's too vague, too bland, and extremely biased. It goes after one particular group that considers suspected white supremacists and neo-Nazis. To me, that's deceptive. It's called a witch hunt. It could be anyone that's white could be still a white supremacist or neo-Nazi. Give me a break. Remember, it's called a ripple effect. Because if you study some of the books Homeland Security presented in the past on violent extremism or violent domestic terrorism, you'd be surprised what they're actually going for. If you support this step, soon you're going to be next. It's called the ripple effect. That's the truth. But always observe responsibly. So I get a big kick out of this at times, and but we'll see how far this baby can go, right? Absolutely. All right, so I'm gonna do one more here. It's from my great state of Florida, and it came out on the 27th by Mike Meharry. Florida committee passed his bill to limit warrantless Stingray spying, help hinder federal surveillance. Yesterday, a Florida Senate committee voted 7-1. I'm just wondering who voted against it. Gotta call these people out, right? To pass a bill that will ban warrantless location tracking and the use of Stingray devices to sweep up electronic communications in most situations. The proposed law will not only protect privacy in Florida, but it will also hinder one aspect of the federal surveillance state. It's good because if you look at it, Article 1, Section 23 of the Florida Constitution has a thing called right of privacy. Folks, look it up, all right? Senator Jeff Brandes, Republican from St. Petersburg, filed Senate Bill 144 for the 2021 legislative session. The legislation would help block the use of cell-site simulators, known as Stingrays. These devices essentially spoof cell phone towers, tricking any device within the range of the connected to the Stingray instead of the tower, allowing law enforcement to sweep up communications content, as well as a locator to track the person in the possession of a specific phone or other electronic device. S44 will require police to get a search warrant based on probable cause before acquiring real-time or historic GPS location data and before using any type of mobile tracking device in most situations. The police already must get a warrant before intercepting cell phone communication content. Adding location tracking to the warrant requirement would effectively end warrantless Stingray use in Florida. Legislation would also require police to get a warrant before accessing stored location data from a service provider. Under current law, police can access stored data with a court order. Florida law guarantees the right of person to be secured in their person's house, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures, which is under Article 1, Section 12 of the same enactment, Florida Constitution. Okay, so S-144 would add against unreasonable interception of private communications by any means to that statute. Proposed law would also change Florida statutes to enshrine expectation for privacy for location information into law. To safeguard the privacy of innocent persons, the legislature recognizes the subjective expectation of privacy in real-time cell site location data, real-time precise global positioning system location data, and historical precise global positioning and system location data, which society is now prepared to accept is objectively reasonable. As such, the law enforcement collection of the precise location of a person's cellular phone or portable electronic communication device without the consent of the person or owner of the cellular phone or probable portable electronic communication device should be allowed only when authorized by a search warrant issued by a court of competent jurisdiction and should remain under control and supervision of the authorizing court. This bill does not include some exceptions to the warrant requirement. The police could use Stingray devices in an emergency situation that involves the immediate danger of death or serious injury, the danger of escape of a prisoner, or when specifically defined exigent circumstances exist. In these situations, the police will still be required a warrant within 48 hours. Yesterday, the Senate Criminal Justice Committee passed the bill with a 7-to-1 vote. Impact on federal surveillance program. The federal government funds the vast majority of state and local Stingray programs, attaching one more condition. The feds require agencies acquiring the technology to sign non-disclosure agreements. NDA. This throws a giant shroud over the program, even preventing judges, prosecutors, and defense attorneys from getting information about the use of Stingrays in court. The feds actually instructed prosecutors to withdraw evidence if judges or legislators pressed for information. As the Baltimore Sun reported in 2015, a Baltimore detective refused to answer questions on the stand during the trial, signing a federal non-disclosure agreement. Defense attorney Joshua Insley asked Cabrera about the agreement. Does this document instruct you to withhold evidence from the state's attorney and circuit court, even upon the court order to produce? He asked. Yes, Cabrera said. As PrivacySOS.org put it, the FBI would rather police officers and prosecutors let criminals go than face a possible scenario where the defendant brings a Fourth Amendment challenge to warrantless Stingray spying. A Delaware police NDA with the Harris Corporation obtained by the ACLU reviews just how much secrecy surrounds Stingray surveillance. The ACLU summed up the NDA. The agreement signed by a state police detective in 2010 stated that officers could not discuss, publish, release, or disclose any information pertaining to the cell phone tracking products to the general public, to companies, to other governmental agencies, or even other officers who do not have a need to know. A letter attached to the agreement and signed by Harris Corp's account manager said police are not permitted to talk about the device with elected officials. Stealth, quiet approach, and skilled execution are the glue that transforms weapons and technology investments into capabilities and results. Harris Corp's Michael E. Dillon said in the letter, only officers with arrest authority are permitted to use them. Stingrays will have knowledge of how they work. Harris cited federal law for the condition of the agreement, which has stated that, similar to other intelligence-oriented aspects of your operations, experience of a Pinellas County, Florida man further highlights a shroud of secrecy around the use of Stingray devices, along with potential for abuse of power inherent in America's law enforcement community. The feds sell technology in the name of anti-terrorism efforts. When non-disclosure agreements in place, most police departments refuse to release any information on the use of the Stingrays. But information obtained from the Tacoma Police Department revealed that it uses the technology primarily for routine criminal investigations. Some privacy advocate groups argue that Stingray can never happen again within the parameters of the Fourth Amendment because the technology necessarily connects to every electronic device with range, not just one held by the target. And the information collected by these devices undoubtedly ends up in federal databases. The feds can share and tap into vast amounts of information gathered at the state and local level through fusion centers, a system known as Information Sharing Environment, or ISE. In other words, Stingrays create the potential for federal government to track the movement of millions of Americans with no warrants, no probable cause, and without the people even knowing. Fusion centers were sold as a tool to combat terrorism. That's not how they're being used. The ACLU pointed to a bipartisan congressional report to demonstrate the true nature of government fusion centers. They haven't contributed anything meaningful to counterterrorism efforts. Instead, they have largely served as police surveillance and information sharing nodes for law enforcement efforts targeting the frequent subjects of police attention: black and brown people, immigrants, dissidents, and the poor. Fusion centers operate within a broader ISC. According to its website, the ISC provides analysts, operators, and investigators with information needed to enhance national security. These analysts, operators, and investigators have mission needs to collaborate and share information with each other and with private sector partners and our foreign allies. In other words, ISC serves as a conduit for sharing information gathered without a warrant. Known ISC partners include the Office of Director of National Intelligence, which oversees 17 federal agencies and organizations, including NSA. ISC utilizes these partners to collect and share data on the millions of unwitting people they track. Federal government encourages and funds Stingrays at the state and local level across the U.S., thereby undoubtedly gain access to a massive data pool on Americans without having to expand the resources to collect the information itself. By placing restrictions on Stingray use, state and local governments limit the data available that the feds can access. In a nutshell, without state and local cooperation, the feds have a much more difficult time gathering information. Enactment of laws limiting or prohibiting the use of Stingray strikes a major blow to the surveillance state and would be a win for privacy. What's next? Act 44 will now move to the Judiciary and Rules Committee. It will pass each by majority vote before moving to the full Senate for further consideration. You know what? I like it. I like this. Very good news. And 10th Amendment, baby. That's the way to do it. And now, even since with this whole Biden administration, expect more activity, more proactivity on the 10th Amendment notification and all that. So yeah, I'm happy about this, and I'm just wondering who voted no on it. But you could take anyone who lives in St. Petersburg area under Senator Jeff Brand's district, call them, tell them thank you, and keep pursuing it. I got to do my part as well on supporting S144. So I'm going to call up Senator Gary Farmer Jr., which he's not too crazy about me at times. That's okay. I'll just give him a little love. Hey, support S144 when you have it. So, great job. I'm very pleased about this. And that will be it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout the social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to the quorum. Furthermore, I'll leave the footnotes of these articles on my speaker page. If you want to contact me, you can hit me at numbers 03 at protonmail.com. Or if you want to send some donations or contributions, you can hit me at paypal.me or cash.app/look3. If you want to send donations to the 10th Amendment Center, I encourage. They need the support much as they can. All right, my friends, one more. Sorry, I'm just like being tongue-tied here. Good grief. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.